Hello everyone, this is Zelx here, and now this is the start of my Forest Craft card reviews. Today, this time for my card reviews, I'm splitting it into 9 different reviews because there's a lot of cards to go through, and I really want to go in depth for each one without making the videos too long. So yes, if you want to check out the other classes, go click on just look through my channel list or look through my upload list. You'll be there. And yes, without further ado, let's get right on into our first Forestcraft Legendary, Briar Maiden. Briar Maiden is a 2-mana 2/2 ward with the fanfare give all allied followers Clash deal 1 to the enemy follower, and it can evolve for 0 evolve points. Whenever another allied followers come into play, you give it Clash deal 1 damage to the enemy follower. Basically, what Briar Maiden makes it do is basically buff all your one little guys so that they can do more damage to your opponent whenever they try to trade into your guys, or maybe even get value trades if they rely on 1 hit point rush followers, in which case they cannot trade into your guys at all, and you basically get a lot of tempo with Briar Maiden. One thing I'm not certain about is whether she will give Clash to herself. Since it says give all allied followers, I'm going to assume it does, in which case she basically is essentially a 3 damage follower that is also not a 3 damage follower because she's only 2 attack. But where will you see this? To actually see where this card will go, we need to look at her evolve effect, which summons 2 fairies, basically meaning she is 3 fairy Forestcraft followers in 1 card. You give rush to all your allied followers, and if at least 10 followers have Forestcraft followers have left play, or then gets Clash deal 1 damage to the enemy leader. And remember, they still have the other clash effect to deal 1 to the enemy follower. So if you have a full board of actually not a full board, maybe like 2 guys on the board, playing Briar Maiden, evolve her, you basically get 5 burn on turn for free. Unless your opponent has board clear, in which case you'll be very sad. But then again, you still build Forestcraft followers the play count, which builds towards your castle, it builds towards your fun fact. Why am I mentioning fun fact? It will come into relevant later. You will see it really soon. And another place you can play this, since she evolves for no evolve point, you basically this can work in evolve decks. So you're playing something like Evolve Forest, you will also run Briar Maiden. She's very solid, very strong, does quite a lot for her mana cost, and I'm not sure. I'm still uncertain how relevant the Clash deal 1 damage to an enemy follower is. It really depends on what sort of deck you're facing against. But if you're facing against decks that play a lot of little guys, like 1/1s, 2/1s, 3/1s, or even 1/2s, you will get a lot of value trade, especially if you can get Briar Maiden out early. You can easily swing the tempo in your favor for the majority of the game. Your opponent will be on the back foot unless they have a way to deal with this card. So very solid, really strong 4/5 card, can see play in Evolve Forest, Castle Forest. Unfortunately, I don't see a way to meme with this card. All the special cool effects are evolve block, so it's once per turn. But maybe one day, maybe one day well, never mind. It's impossible. I don't think you can meme with this card at all. But it is definitely a very strong enabler. So because I think you can run it in most, or if not all, Forestcraft decks, this is our first 5/5 star for this review. Next up, Ladica Nature's Claw, 5 mana 4/4 natural legendary, can be evolved using evolve points. Whenever you play a natural card, recover 1 play point. If it's the 4th natural card or later this turn, evolve this follower. Whenever this follower evolves, you put her back to nature into your hand, and she gains Storm, but she loses her ability to recover play points. What is back to nature is a 1 mana token spell that gives +X to allied Ladica. X equals the number of allied natural cards played this turn, including this card, and you deal 5 to a random enemy follower. Basically, this clears a ward. So how much natural cards will you usually play in 1 turn? Let's say you have 4 trees in hand with Ladica, 4 trees, And then back to nature, you played a total of, is it 4? 1? No, you can only play 3 trees because after you played the third tree, Ladica will evolve and you lose the effect. You have to play back to nature immediately. So on turn 6, you can expect to do 11 damage with Ladica, which is really scary. 11 damage on turn 6. So you have to run wards, you have to run face shields. That's the only way to stop Ladica. But other than that, since it's really standalone, and I think you can get a lot of Neteran grade trees, you already see the neutral cards. There's a Neteran piece which generates you 2 Neteran trees. So if that's the case, you also cycle through your deck to look for even more combo pieces which you can use with Ladica. So that is definitely a very scary thought. But let's just not talk about only Ladica. I think you need more support cards, so we'll look at all the Forest Craft cards and then I'll come back to her. As of now, she is already very solid at a 3/5. Next one, we have Damien. Draw on Battler, 5 mana for 5 Storm. If X is at least 5, recover 3 play point. If X is at least 7, gain the ability to ignore what X equals the number of times allied followers have been evolved this match. And this is where Briar Maiden comes in. As you know, Briar Maiden evolves for free and she gives you more Forestcraft followers which you can use to fuel Fairy Fun Facts. Fairy Fun Facts are cards that evolve fairies for free, which will contribute to Damien. So, best case scenario, you get 10 allied followers leave play on turn 5. Actually, you can start even earlier because evolve for the Fire Fun Fact, the evolve comes into active the moment 5 have leave play, and that you can usually get that to happen on turn 3 or even turn 4 really reliably. In which case, you can realistically expect to get to 7, 8 evolves with Damien on turn 7. Maybe 6 evolve on turn 6. In which case, you at least trigger the first effect which recovers 3 play points. So basically, you get a 2 mana 4/5 Storm that deals, let's say, 5 damage to all enemy followers. If you evolve it, you can add 1, you can do 6, which is pretty decent. It's really good. It's really good actually. When I first saw this card, I was a bit skeptical because I don't know how you're gonna work with this because I forgot Fairy Fun Fact exists. I didn't read about. I forgot to pair this card up with Briar Maiden, which was honestly a mistake. But not looking back at it now, this card definitely helps you control board. It helps you burn face. It is extra damage. It clears board. It wrestles control back to you, and you can also follow it up with a lot more board cards. With more of your own followers. Is there a scenario where you probably don't want to play Damien? For right now, as of now, I don't think there's a scenario where Damien is actually bad. Unless you're very low on hit point and Damien doesn't help you finish out the game, in which case Damien will be bad. But other than that, I think he will be a very solid play more often than not. But there will be times maybe if you draw 3 of them in the first 3 turns, you break and you cry. In which case, I'll knock him down to 3/5. You will run him in evolve decks, in like more generic followers play decks. Maybe you also have a place to play Damien because he is still a 2 mana deal 4 after all. Wipes the board, clears the way for more Storm followers to go through. Definitely, now that I look at it, definitely a very solid card, 4/5. But outside of evolve, Forestcraft play card decks, you won't see this anywhere else. It's a Machina follower, so you won't play in natural decks, obviously. But you can tutor this with Iolon if that's what you need, but I don't think there's a need to. You draw quite a lot with normal Forestcraft decks anyways. So, that's it. Next up, we have Avatar of Growth. It's 3 mana, 3/1 rush, deal 2 to the enemy follower whenever an allied enemy leaves play. If it's the 3rd time, you summon an Avatar of Growth. Basically, I think the only reason this is here is to get rid of face shields. You basically Ladica, 3 Neteran grade trees, and then Avatar of Growth comes out, runs into 1 follower, trades into 1 of them, or evolve, trade into 1 of them, use the back to nature, destroys another ward, and then go face for 11, or even potentially more. And then if they don't have Fierce Shield, you still do 2 anyway, so you do 13 on turn 6. Which is honestly pretty good. Really good actually. Actually, now that I think of it, I forgot to mention, remember our good friend from the neutrals. We have the Lizard, and we also have the Rival and Bandit. They give amulets that actually that can buff attack and health of a follower. If we set it up the turn before we play Ladica, we can potentially do a lot of damage. I'm saying upwards of even 3 or even 5 extra damage on Ladica, which is really, really scary. Imagine instead of 5 damage, 11 damage Ladica, or even 13 with Avatar of Growth, you can do up to 18 on turn 6. That is really scary. But of course, you need to make sure Avatar of Growth doesn't like break you or something. So maybe I'll run him as a 1 or 2 off instead of a 3 off like Ladica is. And then Ladica can break you as well. So maybe I'll cut them both to 2. Who knows? But let's look at the other cards. United Resolve, however, go. Deal X to all enemy followers. X equals number of other cards you play this turn. If X is at least 4, you recover 1 evolve point. First thing I noticed, no trade. So you probably won't play things in Natura. Unless your meta decks most decks are very ward heavy, in which case you might play United Resolve alongside Ladica to clear the board and go face on turn 7. Turn 6 you need all the mana you can to evolve Ladica and play the Back to Nature, or you can save the Back to Nature for turn 6 OTK, which that works too. I mean, let's be fair, that definitely works. You can do it that way, which means you can like 6 plus 3 plus 4, no, 6 plus 4, and then plus 5 plus 9 is 15 damage, and then some mixture of 3 damage from somewhere else, and you will have OTK on turn 6. Yeah, that's really scary. What the hell? And what other things you can think about it with this, or actually on turn 7, think about it if you want to think about it that way. X equals the number of cards. If X at least 4, recover 1 evolve point. This is really whatever. If you're gonna go for this, you probably don't need the evolve point. Up to now, I don't think there's any forest deck that actually struggles with evolve point. In Castel Forest, Castel gives you back evolve point. In Evolve Forest, all the cards evolve by themselves anyways. You probably don't need this. But you know what? It's not that bad. Maybe I'll run it as a 1 or 2 off just in case for certain tech cards where my opponent plays a lot of wards. Next one, Beastfolk Gatherer, 2 mana, 2/2, put a Natural World Tree into your hand, evolve, put another World Tree into your hand, and change its cost to 0. We can go for Ladica on turn 5 now. That is even more scary than I don't know. Ladica on turn 5 is really scary. There's no way around it. If you can get Ladica on turn 5, it's 11 damage on turn 5. Most classes are not equipped to deal with that sort of aggression. 11 damage on turn 5, I'll be damned. But other than that, you can look at it as a draw 2, or maybe just a 2 mana, 2/2 card, and then generic, and then you play the Natural World Trees to a draw 2. But if you can definitely get this 0 cost card to get it, is really strong. 0 cards with Ladica, that's insane, that's nuts. I can definitely see them coming together now. Next up, Spirit Beam, you summon a Natural World Tree. Basically, you set yourself up. It's a natural card, so you can play alongside Ladica. If 2 other cards will play this turn, heal 2. Very generic, it's basically just a 3, so I can't really rate it that high. It's just a generic card, 3 about 5. Next up, Loving Embrace, 2 mana card, Frozen Forest Craft cards, put a random natural follow from a deck into your hand. You can tutor Ladica, you can tutor your growth, you can tutor the Beastfolk. If it fills with at least 1 card, you put a Natural World Tree into your hand and change its cost to 0. You get another 0 cost 3. Okay, Ladica is actually broken. You get a lot of 0 cost 3s, and then on Ladica turn, you basically spam like so many 3s down, you regain so many mana, you run your opponent over, your opponent cries. Okay, Ladica is really scary. Please have mercy. I'm very scared. Next one we have Frightful Treant, 6 mana, 2/5, summon another Treant. When it comes into play, if a World Tree is in play, you evolve for free. Summon a Natural World Tree, you basically draw 2, evolve 2, a little bit slow at 6 play points. So 6 play point, like I honestly at 6 play point you can just play Damien. Damien is active already. You just play Damien. There's no need for this. Damien evolve when you're in 7 and you can do all sorts of whatever evolve you want to do with Forest Craft. Maybe Arya. Arya is an evolve payoff after all. And you also need an evolve point for her. So wait, you definitely can pair with Damien with Arya. Damien clears the way, Arya evolves, 2 damage, and then like 2 more 3 dot followers. 6, 2, 4, yeah, and then you have like 6 damage, 8 damage plus Damien, 12 damage, go face, and your opponent can do a thing. Actually, you just straight up can do a thing, and you can even set it up for next turn with more Damiens. That's really strong, but you won't run a Frightful Trend ever. So this is a 0.5 star card. Next up, Green Leaf Sprite, 1 mana 1/1. If 2 other cards will play this turn, gain +1/+0 and rush, you can use it to help you clear a ward, and you summon a Woe Tree. That's generally good enough, and there's no way you wouldn't like this. 1 mana, draw 1, cycle 1 Forest Craft followers deep play. That's really good. So for 4.5 in a natural deck. In Castel decks, you get 1 less spot slot on your field, but you get to draw a lot of cards, and it's also a 1 play point follower. So you know what, it's still good enough. I still like her I think in a Castel deck. Maybe they don't care about ready too much, hopefully. But if the 1 bot slot actually matters, then too bad. But as of now, I think it's really good. So really solid, so I'll give it a 4.5. Next up, Skoga, 4 mana 2/2. Summon a natural Woe Tree during your turn whenever an allied enemy leaves play, deal 1 to all enemies. Recover 2 play points during your turn whenever an allied enemy leaves play, deal 1 to damage to all enemies. So 2 mana. Okay, 4 mana deal 1 to all followers, because I'm going to assume you already have a natural Woe Tree in play, and then this will summon 1 and immediately proc its own effect. And then you evolve it, but you don't get another natural Woe Tree. So you wouldn't play this with Ladica, because you're using an evolve point to not do as much as you hope. You could literally just spend this turn play May and it would have been better. You could use this turn to play Beast Folk, which will have given you 2 Woe Trees in hand, which you could use to proc Ladica. So I don't see Skullguard being good at all. Something's not right with this card. It's a little bit weak, it's a little bit underwhelming, so I'll give, but it's definitely better than Frightful Treant. I don't know what a skull is. It's guarding something which is useless, therefore he's useless, so he's 1/5. It's not as bad as Frightful. There may be a world where you play this, but it's not as bad as Frightful. Next up, Lonely Pass, 2 mana spell, fuse Forest Craft cards, destroy allied Neteran Woe Tree, deal 5. If it's fused with 1 card, deal 2 to enemy leader and regenerate 1 play point. This seems decent. You can read it as a 1 mana deal 2. If you have on turn 6, if you have a 0 play point Neteran Woe Tree in hand and you have fused this, you can use this to hit opponent for face for 2. And then it counts towards everything that Ladica likes to do, and you can play this as the 4th card, and then you will destroy a Neteran Woe Tree. You recover 2 play point back, you draw a card, you can play another natural, and then you can play your back to the past. I think that's the token spell card for like 12 damage Ladica on turn 6. And then with this, you have 14 damage. With the growth, you have 16 damage. 16 damage, you're just missing 4, which could realistically could come from anywhere. The 4 damage could come from anywhere, and even from pinging your opponent's face from the previous turn. This could help proc counter magic shields, basically face shields. And yeah, that's actually pretty decent. My only problem with it is that it doesn't draw you any cards. But since we have running the natural package, natural grade 3 cycles a lot, so having fusion to help hand control definitely will be really helpful. Since this is accounting for the whole package in general, I'll give this a 4.5 because it does quite a lot for basically 1 mana. Realistically 1 mana. And that's all the Forest Craft cards. So coming back to Ladica, after looking at all of the cards, my verdict is that it is a 5/5 star card. Why? 1, she is tutorable. You can get her with Loving Embrace, and Loving Embrace also have the benefit of giving you another random natural follower. Uh, my idea of this deck right now, just for me, it is probably to run Ladica as a 3-off, Avatar of Gold as a 2-off, and then fill the deck with Beast Folk and all sorts of 3 generators. Maybe I'll even run Greenleaf Sprite. Hopefully, in this way, actually at this point, just run all the natural follows. Just run all of them in one card. Run all the 3 generators except for Skullguard. The Skullguard is pretty bad. Lonely Pass is worth running. However, Frightful Triumph is not worth running. And I think you can just even run like 2 copies of United Resolve to help with Ward. And then basically that is it. I think you have a very solid combo natural deck that can kill your opponent on turn 5 or turn 6. Given good ING and perfect play. I don't know. There's definitely ING involved. After all, you're still playing with a 40 card deck in Shadowverse and your opponent still play cards. So you do have to respond to them at times. But being able to win on turn 5 or turn 6 is really, really scary. So my verdict with Ladica and the Forest Craft package in general, 5/5. Anyways, that's it for the Forest Craft section. If you want to check out the other classes one, I hope it's somewhere on the screen right now. You can go click on it, go there, check it out, check out my reviews for the other classes. And yes, leave a like, leave a subscribe, and without further ado, let's move on to the next one.